Hi, this is Rich the Engineer Muny, PPA board member and Kentucky State Director, with this edition of the Fight for Poker Rights. Well, I have great news. PPA is continuing to stand strong in the effort to fight for poker rights. We're actually going to Washington, D.C. in the week of May 23rd. The big day is May 24th, which is Tuesday. That's the day many members will be meeting with their lawmakers and expressing to them our desire to have licensed, playable, legislated online poker. And it's time we do this. We've been trying to do this since 2006 when the Unlawful Internet Gambling Enforcement Act passed. And we're going to continue to keep pushing this because we understand that the industry has to be on solid footing. We always knew that what existed before Black Friday was a temporary situation. PPA has been committed to passing legislation in Congress, and we remain committed to pushing legislation. We'll continue lobbying for that. So if you can make it with us, we'd love to have you. Just send an email to dcflyin@theppa.org, and we'll have you come out to the Hill with us, and you can see how the lobbying is done. You can meet your lawmaker or their staff, and they'll have a chance to meet with you and understand how you feel about your rights. So please pencil that in, May 24th. If you can't make it, you can still support us from home, which is great news. Just go to theppa.org/takeaction and be sure to write your lawmaker, be sure to call them, and once you're done with that, try to even post Facebook messages on their Facebook accounts and take any other steps you can think of, like writing op-eds or letters to the editor to make sure people understand that we expect our right to play. We don't need Congress to try to ban online poker because they think it's bad for us. They're mistaken. Poker is a game we're proud of. It's a game of skill, and it's an honorable game, and I'm proud to play, and I know you are all as well. So I'm proud we're going to continue to stand up for our rights in this fashion. I have another piece of excellent news. The American Gaming Association, which represents the largest casino interests, has come out in favor of legislation for online poker. This is good for us because not only does it provide the additional lobbying muscle, but it also shows the interest of U.S.-based companies, big employers that are pillars of their communities wherever they reside. So this is a big assist for us as well. So things are looking strong in terms of the future. So let's just keep on that and continue pushing for our rights. Now here's the part of the webcast where I take the tough questions because I know everybody listening to the webcast has questions, and I try to answer them all here. If I've not answered your question yet, please email me at ky@pokerplayersalliance.org, and I'll be sure to take a look at that, and we might include you in the next webcast, or I'll probably just email you back as well. So the first question is on our initiative to contact the Department of Justice in regards to this matter. Some people have asked what the purpose is. Well, the initial purpose was straightforward. We wanted to make sure the players were getting their money back from the 3 sites. With the injunction placed from the Department of Justice, there was concern that the sites would be unable to pay us back. So we took the step to ask the Department of Justice to ensure that they've had mechanisms in place permitting the sites to make these payments, and they responded pretty quickly. The Department of Justice did, with consent agreements such that the sites would be able to pay us. So that was like a big victory right off the bat for the PPA and for the poker player community. The next concern we have is they have a lot of laws to enforce. They choose which ones to prioritize. It's up to us as American citizens to tell them we would like them to prioritize something different than trying to stop online poker. And in fact, we would like them to lobby for licensed online poker because that would cure the issue they have in this matter. Unfortunately, to date, they have lobbied against licensed online poker and have instead tried to run this prohibition against the game. So what we would like to do is keep this pressure on them. Last week there was a hearing with Eric Holder, the Attorney General in Congress. We had 3 separate congressmen ask Eric Holder why the department was prioritizing online poker issues over all the other issues that face our great nation. This probably came as a surprise to general holder, that Congress took such an interest in this, and that's to the credit of the poker playing community that we were able to get this message out to general holder. This further benefits us because there are still some sites that service the U.S. market, and we would like to have places to play while we're waiting for legislation to work its way through the Hill. And then that brings me up to the second question, and it actually goes to the crux of us as an organization. Is the PPA effective? The answer is yes, absolutely. The fight has been well planned and well orchestrated. It just happens to be a very tough fight. Some people would think it's easy, but look at where we started. When we started, UG had passed the House as a freestanding bill. It wasn't attached to anything at that point. It just went through the House, 317 to 93. You can see where we stood, and it wasn't in a very strong position. And in fact, the Republican Party felt so strongly about this, they added this to their platform. Way back in 2000, they added a plank to ban online poker. They really thought it was positive for them, this attempted prohibition that would get votes. And we're a nonpartisan organization, so we've gone to the Republican Party and asked them to remove that plank, and I'm hopeful we can do that for 2012. They only revisit it on election years. They only revisit that on presidential election years. So we're going to have another shot at that. But since UG had passed, PPA succeeded at introducing legislation every session. We've always had a bill either for poker or for all online casino gaming. That's actually been the best defense against some promised bills that would have strengthened UGA. For example, Representative Bob Goodlatte promised UGA 2, he said he was going to finish what UGA started right after it passed, and he's not done that because we've always had legislation promoting the game of poker. We've flooded the Hill each year with hundreds of thousands of letters demanding this right to play. That has really kept our opponents at bay as well. If it weren't for this, surely we would have seen some tougher legislation. PPA also earned a delay in enacting of the UGA regulations. This pushed Black Friday back about a year. This would have happened earlier had it not been for PPA's efforts. And the efforts of the poker playing community and the PPA have succeeded at all of this, have elevated the consciousness of the fight. We've seen it reflected in the media. PPA has a media relations team. We're careful to get quotes out to all the major media sources. And now when you see an article, you always see the poker position represented. Even in the anti-poker articles, PPA gets mentioned, the opinion of the poker player gets out there. Prior to UGA's passage, we never saw that. So these are important victories that we have orchestrated by all fighting hard for our rights. And the third question is regarding state opt-outs. How come the legislation has to have state opt-outs? Why can't the federal government just make all 50 states have poker? And the unfortunate reality is the country does have a tradition of states' rights. There are going to be provisions in there, and maybe states opt out versus opt in. PPA is certainly seeking to optimize how this happens, but the idea of Congress forcing online poker on an unwilling state is unlikely, unfortunately. But the good news in this is that what we really get is a solid foundation so these states have something they can opt into. And keep in mind, 48 states do offer gaming of some sort. So there are only 2 prohibition states. Those are Utah and Hawaii. And those 2 may even decide to participate just to have control of the situation. So we feel this is a very strong situation for the poker playing community. And then the final question is that why don't we just repeal the Wire Act and just have a perfectly free market for online poker and just get the government out of this altogether? And unfortunately, that's not up to us. It's up to us as Americans, but it's not up to us as an organization, and it would take a majority of Americans to make this demand on Congress, and that's just not the reality of where we stand today. Keep in mind that in 2006, like I was saying earlier, Congress passed UGA at 317 to 93. So our goal is to build an optimal solution, one that can last, one that's not a reverse protectionist system like we had, where only offshore sites could participate and onshore sites were banned. from participation in this important market. I'm an engineer, and I know when I build something, I look to see, can it stand up on its own? Is it going to fail on its own load, or can it succeed? And the situation we had prior to the passage of UGEA was clearly not one that was going to stand the test of time. We can build a system now that'll stand the test of time. And at that point, I think we'll see a very healthy, robust game. And I look forward to that day. I hope you'll all join with me and fight for this. So again, please visit theppa.org/takeaction to join PPA. Visit theppa.org/join. And to donate, visit theppa.org/donate. We appreciate everything you do to support these efforts. It's important for all of us to stand up for our rights, and I'm very proud to be a part of this, and I'm proud to be working with everyone here to accomplish just that. Thank you very much.